Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're super excited to be here to talk to you guys. My name is Caroline Shin. I'm the product marketing manager within the Microsoft 365 team. I primarily focus on some of our encryption and access control capabilities within Microsoft 365. I'm also joined on stage with my venerable colleague on the engineering side, Abhishek Kumar. Abhishek Kumar also focuses on some of the access control technologies within our Microsoft service. So with that, we're super excited to be here because we actually, I don't know if you guys have seen the news, but we recently announced GA of Privileged Access Management within Office 365. So today we're going to talk more about those capabilities, what they are, what they can do, and how they can actually help protect and control your data within Microsoft 365. So with that, I just want to share with you this short list of organizations that you can see here. You might have already guessed, yep, all these organizations have had very high-profile public data breaches. But the one thing that you might not have noticed is that all these different organizations have had data breaches due to or that have involved a compromised credential. But you might be thinking, it can't happen to me. Those are big organizations. I don't have that big of a target on my back. But the reality is that for between 40 to 50% of small to large organizations, they've actually reported a data breach in the last year. So it's not a question of if it's going to happen, but when it's going to happen, and are you going to actually be ready? And then when you dig into what actually happened, like you saw on the previous slide, a lot of these actually data breaches have occurred due to a compromised account. In fact, customers are twice as likely to get a data breach due to a compromised account. And when you think about, think a little bit more deeply about why that is, and it's because a lot of these compromised credentials have broad standing privileged access. And those privileged access have become very lucrative attacks to phishing campaigns or even to a rogue admin that can quickly get to sensitive data very quickly. And of course, in a lot of, just like data, the more data that you actually have, the more risk that you actually also have as well. And that's the same with admins as well. The more admins you have, the more risk that you're actually taking on. And a lot of organizations, of course, have more than one admin. In fact, even within Microsoft 365, there's an average of 12.6 admins within an organization. And so essentially, you can think about that risk multiplying by a factor of 12. And on top of that, we're laying on the compliance risk as well. There's increasing compliance obligations that many organizations have to have. And because of this data risk, a lot of these regulations and regulators are actually trying to catch up. In fact, the cost of non-compliance is actually 3 times more than the cost of compliance. And so here you can see all these different compliance risks that you actually have, of course. A lot of these regulators, that you can see over here are looking to actually protect sensitive data by ensuring that there's procedures and processes in place before privileged access is provided. And so with all this complexity, with your security and compliance risk, you might be asking yourself, how does Microsoft actually protect privileged access? And what do we do to protect our customer-sensitive data? So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Abhishek Kumar, who actually works really closely on our access control technologies to help you understand how we actually protect our customers' data. So with that.
Thanks, Caroline. Hello, everyone. My name is Abhishek. Thank you for coming in today. Day-to-day job responsibilities for me is basically, it's split between how building features that we use to how we protect our own data centers, and building features that you as our customers for M365 can use to protect your data center. So the question arises, how does Microsoft approach the privileged access concept in our data center as well as in our organization? So now we have something called zero standing access. Now this is not a technology. This is not a software piece that we use. This is a principle. And all our software components, all our organizations' privileged access happens on the principle of zero standing access, which means that not a single person in Microsoft has privileged access to go and do anything with the data center or in the organization. How many of you have heard of Lockbox here? I see a fair good amount of hands. So Microsoft has this inbuilt technology which we use to manage our own data center, which we call customer Lockbox, which allows us engineers to request for just-in-time access to privileged access, which has a significant oversight. A request goes to a set of designated approvers. These approvers, they grant approvals to engineers, and only when these requests are approved, Microsoft engineers get access to whatever commands that they need to access. Moreover, these commands are actually granular, provide granular access. So when we request for access, we don't request for managing the data center. We request for rebooting a server. We request for access to go ahead and restart a specific service. We request access to go check out some logs and stuff like that. So the access is really, really granular, and the concept that we call just enough access. So Microsoft runs with zero standing access combined with just-in-time, just enough access to enable us managing all privileged access in our data center. This also applies to how we manage our organization. So our IT department, they have implemented the concept of JIT and GIAF to manage our own tenancies as well. Moreover, in Microsoft Data Center, we have the feature of customer logbox. How many of you have been using customer logbox in your tenants today? OK, I see very few hands. But customer logbox is a feature that allows you, administrators from your organization, to be part of the privileged access workflow in our data center. So now, in the rarest of the circumstance, when we have to access customer data, either to debug some issue, either to check some logs which have PII, and just be mindful that all these accesses happen only after a customer raises an issue with us. So customer support gives us a call that, OK, this customer is reporting non-delivery of emails. So we need to check out mail headers. We need to check out rules set on the mailboxes and stuff. So what we do is we make, again, a data center logbox request. It gets approved by Microsoft Manager. And then the approval request actually goes to the tenant administrator. So you have the final say on whether we can go ahead and access your data or not. So that's the feature of customer logbox. So in addition, overall, Microsoft actually runs on the principle of zero standing access, both to how we manage our data center, as well as how we get access to customer content, which is hosted on our data center. So then, switching our focus, how do you manage privileged access in your organization? As Carolyn talked about the recent breaches, most of which actually starts with compromising a credential of privileged account. And from there, the insiders, they get access to really, really sensitive tasks and data. Now, these threats that exist related to privileged accounts, they can arise from both, they have twofold roots. So basically, you have threat actors who continuously target your privileged admins who have privileged credentials to your accounts to hack their account through targeted phishing attacks, through spam, and they send out phishing emails, social engineering and stuff. So once your admin's account is compromised, the attackers, they get really broad access to your organization. There is another threat, which is very less talked about, is the threat of an insider. So basically, if an administrator went rogue because he was unhappy about certain decision that happened in his organization, then he has standing access, and he can go and wreak havoc in the organization and just flee. And by the time we actually discover it, it's too late. So both these threats, they actually arise from the standing access. So basically, an admin, once he has been given a global admin, Exchange admin, or SharePoint admin role, they have standing access. So they can go ahead and execute whatever commands, whatever tasks that are assigned to that specific role. So they can, once they have this access, they can go ahead and execute these commands. And they can end up compromising your data, siphon that data out to external servers. They can actually go ahead and encrypt your data and hold the organizations for ransom. Or they can really wreak havoc in the organization and then leave. And as I said earlier, by the time you actually discover it, it's really too late because the damage is already done. So let's talk about how you manage privileged access in your organization. How many have heard of other PAM systems, privileged access management system? I see a good number of hands. So PAM system, basically, this is a really simple, simplified diagram of how a PAM system generally works. So we have a module in there which allows you to check in and check out accounts. And it does password management, session management, et cetera. Once you have those accounts, you can go ahead and access the resources which are designated to be used with those accounts. But the problem is, that these accounts in these PAM systems, they have standing access. So once you get access to these accounts, you have the keys to kingdom. So you can go wreak havoc, you can do whatever you want, and there is no other protection. There is lack of granular access control. So if you talk about someone being a global admin or exchange admin or help desk admin, they still have fairly broad access. You cannot control or stop them. So when you make someone exchange admin just for them to be able to export a mailbox, they also get access to deleting complete exchange database that you have. They also get access to read your CEO's mailbox. So these are the things that you don't want untrusted people or so many people to have. So there is lack of granular access control. Then we have lack of clear auditing. Now think of the application on the right-hand side. Whoever is coming, either Jane, John, Jason, whoever is coming with these privileged accounts, because these accounts are separate accounts from their own user identity, all that application sees is that ABC with blah role coming to access Exchange, coming to access manager devices, coming to manage users, coming to manage payrolls in the organization and stuff like that. So there is lack of clear auditing. To make sure that each action is attributed to an individual user, we have to sort through multiple different audit streams, combine them together, and then get a view of who did what. It's very hard to determine with a traditional PAM system. Then we have the overhead of password and session management. So if you're checking out accounts from a same account from a closed system, then you have to make sure that you are recycling the passwords. You have to make sure that you are managing how these credentials are used in what sessions. You have to make sure that residue permissions do not exist with these privileged accounts and stuff like that. So there is a significant overhead that you need to factor in for. And then there is the issue of access enforcement. Now this is really tricky. Let's say you have a large deployment in your organization with many different systems. And the only place where the privileged accounts are managed is this PAM system. So now access enforcement for a specific user, whether this user needs to or should have access to a specific account or not, is only limited to the PAM system. All the applications that you have in the organization, they are agnostic to these access enforcement, because all users who come to these applications, they come with those selected few accounts. So if there is any flaw in this password management, the PAM system, it is a single point of failure. All your applications will just fail because they do not do their own access enforcements. So these are sort of the limitations of the traditional PAM systems. So I talked about multiple threats. Let me give you one example, and this is the example that we will use throughout the rest of our session. So a simple silent threat that exists today in your organization. This is Exchange Management PowerShell, and I am logged in with a person who has Exchange admin access. Now, as part of having Exchange administrative access, you can go ahead and set a journal rule to your CEO's mailbox, or anyone's mailbox for that matter in the organization. Just think about it that if this journal rule is set, the emails that is received by that person, it can get silently copied to an external email address, and literally nobody can figure it out. This is not notified, this is not logged, these forwarding things are not surfaced in any of the audit logs whatsoever. So once it is done, the damage is done. You cannot figure it out. So these are the threats that exist, and this is a really simple one. There are others, like, if you talk about Exchange, you can go ahead and drop the database which hosts all the mailboxes. So if someone wants to be really, really destructive, they can go bonkers on this, and then they can really wreak havoc in the organization. So what do we do? what do we do from, where do we go from here, right? So as Carolyn mentioned, we just announced privileged access management capabilities in Office 365. Now, you may wonder what is different from the traditional PAM solutions. The difference is that our PAM solution is actually built ground up on the principle of zero standing access. So this will allow your organization to run with zero standing access. So it allows features of just-in-time access, so you can request for just-in-time privileges to do whatever you want to do. It allows you granular, highly scoped access to specific tasks. So as I was talking about, if you are an Exchange administrator, you can get access to so many commands, right? But if you really wanted to control access to, let's say, journaling rule, you have no way to do it, no way to prevent it. Our PAM system will actually allow you to both restrict access to really, really sensitive tasks in your organization, as well as allow users to request for really scoped access. So if someone really just wanted to reset password, that is the only access that they get and nothing else. It is combined with a privileged admin workflow. So just like our data center, just like our customer logbox, there will be, you have the ability to designate certain approvers who can make informed decision on whether to approve a certain privileged access request or not. And this allows for significant oversight. So for example, tomorrow if some privileged account is compromised, that attacker will have to compromise at least one more privileged account to be able to go ahead and execute the threats. If admin goes rogue, then they cannot, if you have PAM policies protecting your really sensitive tasks, then the rogue admin will not be able to on its own wreak havoc in your organization and be done with it. And everything that happens through PAM, it is audit ready. All the logs, all the events, access, approval, requests, they are logged and available for audit through Office 365 audit logging. So that said, I will quickly take you through a demo of the entire functionality on how you can manage privileged access within your organization with PAM. Switching to my demo machine and Windows Hello in play. So I'm in Office 365 Admin Center homepage right now. I'll go to Settings and Security and Privacy. And that is Microsoft making sure that our machines are safe and secure. We have this new setting style for privileged access. I have already turned on privileged access for this tenant because it takes a few minutes for the settings to propagate to all the systems, so for the sake of demo. So this is how you turn it on. You turn it on from here, and you select a default approvers group. So default approver group is basically a mail-enabled security group that you create in Office 365 Admin Center, and you assign certain designated approvers within your organization to be able to go ahead and approve these tasks. So once that is created, once that is turned on, we go and try to manage access policies and requests. So while it is loading, okay, so this is the page where you can manage access policies and access requests that are generated through PAM. As you can see, I have already created access policy for new journal rule. Let me show you how to create another policy. Now, inbox rule is almost as equivalent in danger, in risk, as journal rule. So let's go and create a policy for inbox rule. So I select task. I select the policy scope to exchange. I select the inbox rule commandlet, and I explicitly select manual approval. Now, manual and auto approval, let me take a minute on that. Manual approval is where a certain set of approvers will actually manually say that, review it, and say that, okay, this specific user who's requesting access, it's okay for him to go access. Now, we have created auto approval too. Now, auto approval does not have anyone sitting there and saying, oh, you can access. But we actually receive feedback from our preview customers that auto approval also is very valuable in terms for audit and in terms of allowing auto access to commands that are not very sensitive. So for example, if there are certain designated help desk users who need to go ahead and reset password for some user, we can designate for our organization that, oh, these are not very sensitive, so I will make it auto approval. However, although there is not an explicit button click by an approver saying that I approve this request, there is significant auditing that is happening, which can be used for investigations later if certain incidents happen. And then there is a specific approval group here. This is the same security enable approver group. This can be the same as the default approver group, or if you want to designate a different set of users, you can designate it to a different security group as well. So once this policy is created, we will have the protection turned on instantly. Well, in a minute while that policy syncs. So let me show you how it actually enforces access. So I'm now logged in with Jason Smith's account, wherein it also has global administrator access, and I'm logged into Exchange Management PowerShell. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create a new journal rule. As I show in the previous screen, I have a PAM policy protecting access to new journal rule. So when I try to create that, it actually tells me insufficient permissions. So as you see, this person, Jason Smith, had access to global admin. So he should be able to do anything in the tenancies. But once the PAM policy in place, there is granular access control. He can do everything else except creating new journal rule or creating new inbox rule, because we just created that policy. So you can actually scope access to really sensitive tasks and let users perform other tasks which are not very sensitive based on what role they are. So once once we know that there is a policy in place, so this is admin center. I'm logged in with Jason Smith. I'll go ahead and create a new access request. We can do both through PowerShell as well as the UI, but I'll go ahead and do it through UI. So I'll select task, scope as exchange, policy was new journal rule, access duration 1 hour, and so now when I'm making this request as a user, there is a designated approver group for this policy. So once that request is made, the approvers, they actually receive an email notification. While we are waiting for the other email notification to arrive, let me show you what details you actually see in this email notification. And as you can see, the email just arrived. So basically, the email tells you who is requesting, what level of access they are requesting. So as you can see, Jason is requesting here. He is requesting access for a specific task, which is new journal rule, the duration for which he is requesting it for, and the reason. Now, as an approver, if you're not satisfied with any of these fields, you can go ahead and say, no, I am not comfortable. I will not allow you access. But because I trust Jason, I will go ahead and approve his request. So when I refresh privileged access page in admin portal, I see that the Jason's request would be available here, as we can see here. I will go ahead and approve it. Now, there are a bunch of things that are happening underneath. When the request happened, the request got signed by Jason's auth token. So when we use either the Exchange Management PowerShell or Admin Center to make sure that all the PAM requests are tamper-proof, they cannot be altered by anyone except the user who is creating or the user who is approving, we take significant effort to make sure that they are secure. So every time a request is made, it is signed with the token of the requester. When the approver happened, it gets signed again. The authorization gets signed again with the approver's token, and then it gets stored. And now when we go ahead and execute the command again, what it will do is it will verify both these authorizations. And in the PowerShell run space, it will make sure that the requester is the same person who made that request, and the approver is the correct person who was part of that approver's group. So those things are done to make sure that these requests are tamper-proof. And once the authorization is made, it cannot be altered. Even if you have access to all the data in your organization, you cannot go ahead and modify these authorizations which are stored in Substrate. So once that access is approved, let me go back to PowerShell. Because the access happened while the user is logged on, let me create a new session so that the run space has all the required permissions. So once I'm logged in, I will try to execute journal rule again. And because I made a request and I received approval, I should be able to execute the journal rule request now. So I have used this command in the past, so I already created one journal rule, so I'll just name it differently. So given the approval, I should be able to execute, and there you go. So with approval, now, even though I was global admin, there was a PAM policy that restricted access to this command, and I requested for privileged access. There was someone else who needs to approve that, so they went ahead and approved that. And once that approval was done, I could come back and execute it again. And as you might have noticed, I requested for 1 hour. So basically, all these approvals that are granted, they're time bound. That's the concept of just in time. So when you need it, you request access then, and then you specify how long you need it. And after that time duration is gone, that access is revoked. So basically, after 1 hour from now, Jason will not have access, and he'll be back to requesting access again to be able to execute new journal rule. So going back to the presentation, so this is basically how you can actually manage granular access control in your organization. I showed you an example of managing access at the level of task. PAM also supports Exchange built-in roles, workload roles, so you can actually request just-in-time access to, let's say, legal hold role or a security admin role that you can. So based on your security rig organization, you can allow users to request elevations at the level of specific tasks, or really scoped custom roles that exist in Exchange to manage certain correlated tasks as well. So now going forward, all right, I'll use the clicker. So in a nutshell now, privileged access management allowed you just-in-time access, just enough access with an admin workflow and significant audit. Now, how many of you know about PIM? And how many of you are confused about what is PIM and what is PAM? OK, so this is a great place where I can address both these questions. PIM, which is Privileged Identity Management, and PAM, Privileged Access Management in Office 365, they are really cohesive products which will work together for your organization to allow you custom level of access control for you. Privileged access management allows you to control access at high privileged sensitive tasks as well as workload specific roles. Privileged identity management allows you access control at the level of directory roles. So both these functionality features in Microsoft 365 allow you the same features of just-in-time, just enough access, admin workflows, and they have significant audit. And based on your organization's security rigor, we recommend that you use both these products together depending on who you are allowing access to. So there would be certain trusted administrators who you would allow access to directory roles like global admin, billing admin, exchange admin. You can do that through PIM. And there would be really I won't call them non-trusted, but people who you do not want to have really broad access. So that, for them, you can use PAM to really allow access to granularly to specific tasks and specific workload roles. And you can also use PAM to build protection against really, really sensitive tasks within your organization. So both PAM and PIM, they're like yin and yang. You can actually use to get a comprehensive protection for your organization. So I'll quickly talk about another thing that Microsoft provides. So the entire security portfolio that Microsoft has that allows you to control access to your data and to make sure that access is legitimate and allowed. So basically, Microsoft has, this is the circle of control that we call it in fun when we talk about internally. So you have encryption. We have several features of encryption that allows you to control access, illegitimate access to your data. I would like to differentiate legitimate versus illegitimate. These are users who are outside your organization who can get access to, let's say, your machine. You don't want them to looking around the hard drives and get access to that, or just siphon data because it is there. So encryption provides you that rudimentary level of access control. Then we have standing access control through RBAC and conditional access that allows you to assign roles and role-specific access to user. And then you have PIM and PAM, which really takes the security protection level to the next level, where you can implement just-in-time and just enough access to allow users access to only the things that they need and nothing more than that. And all of these, they provide comprehensive access control and protection for Microsoft 365.
Great. Awesome. Hello, hello? OK,
yeah.
Great. Great. So that almost concludes our presentation. As I said, we just GA privileged access management within Office 365 this week, and it's actually rolling out. It will be available in our Office 365 E5 SKU as well as the advanced compliance SKU as well. And lastly, please get started once it rolls out within your tenant. And there are a variety of different resources that we provide to you guys to help you guys to implement this capability. And with that, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time, and we hope this content was valuable for you guys. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.